Israel just dropped a diplomatic bombshell by recognizing Somaliland. But the African Union's furious reaction isn't about unity. It's about protecting a multi-billion-dollar monopoly. Today, we expose the secret conflict of interest hiding in plain sight, while analyzing how the recognition of Somaliland could change the power dynamics on the Red Sea and Horn of Africa. You're watching True Frame. On December 29, 2025, the United Nations Security Council in New York convened an emergency session. The atmosphere was electric. The agenda? A single, shocking diplomatic move that has sent the Horn of Africa into a tailspin. Israel has officially recognized Somaliland as a sovereign state. While the global media was fixed on the shifting front lines of the Middle East, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dropped a diplomatic nuclear bomb. But this isn't just about a new flag at the UN. For Ethiopia, this is the moment the sovereignty monopoly finally broke. The journey, a country that never left. To understand the weight of this moment, we have to travel back to June 26, 1960. On that day, the British Protectorate of Somaliland gained independence. It was a sovereign state recognized by over 30 UN members, including Israel and the United States. But that independence lasted only 5 days. In a wave of pan-Somali idealism, they voluntarily united with Italian Somaliland to form the Republic of Somalia. It was a union that quickly turned into a nightmare. After decades of marginalization and a brutal genocidal campaign under the dictator Siad Barre, Somaliland did what it had the legal right to do. It dissolved the union in 1991. For 34 years, Hargeisa built a miracle in the desert. While Mogadishu collapsed, Somaliland printed its own currency, trained its own army, and held democratic elections. They weren't creating a country, they were reclaiming the one they had in 1960. The stolen verdict. The AU's dirty secret. If Somaliland has all the attributes of a state, why the silence? The African Union claims it's about protecting colonial borders, but that seemed to be far from the truth. In 2005, the AU sent its own fact-finding mission to Somaliland. Their official report was a bombshell. The experts concluded that Somaliland's case was unique and self-justified in African history. They explicitly recommended that the AU find a special method to grant recognition. But the report was shelved, silenced. Why? On December 26th, the chairperson of the AU Commission, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, issued a scathing rejection of Israel's move. He called it a grave threat to Somali unity. But we have to ask, is this the voice of Africa or the voice of a former foreign minister of Djibouti? Djibouti's entire economy is built on a single reality, being the only gateway for Ethiopia's 130 million people. If Somaliland is recognized, if the Berbera corridor opens, Djibouti's multi-billion-dollar port monopoly evaporates overnight. When the head of the AU Commission is a man who spent decades protecting Djibouti's maritime interests, can his letter truly be seen as neutral? Or is it a desperate attempt to protect a national wallet under the guise of continental unity? The hidden agendas. The coalition of the angry. This brings us to the coalition of the angry. Why are Egypt, Turkey, and Qatar so desperate to stop this? For Egypt, it's always about the Nile. They have used Somalia, Djibouti, and Eritrea as chess pieces to box Ethiopia in. A landlocked Ethiopia is a weak Ethiopia, but a maritime Ethiopia, partnered with Israel, is a regional superpower that Cairo can no longer intimidate over the gird. For Turkey, the motive is blue homeland expansion. In 2024, they signed a maritime deal with Mogadishu that gives Ankara 30% of Somalia's marine revenue. Turkey isn't just a partner, it is a shareholder in Somalia's coastline. Recognition of Somaliland poses a threat to Turkey's investment and the ambition to establish its military presence in the Horn. And for Qatar, it's about ideological influence. By funding the Mogadishu government, they maintain a foothold in the Horn to counter the UAE. This isn't about Somali unity, it's a shadow war for the Red Sea. Ethiopia's masterstroke, the lesson of the past. Ethiopia has learned the hard way that free port myths are dangerous. In the 1990s, they were promised free access to Eritrean ports, a deal that cost millions in hidden subsidies and ended in war. They were told Djibouti was a brotherly partner, yet they pay nearly $2 billion a year in rent. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's 2024 MOU was the opening move of a grandmaster. By securing a 50-year lease for a naval base and port, Ethiopia is no longer a customer of the Red Sea. It is a tenant owner. By letting Israel take the lead on formal recognition, Ethiopia has successfully internationalized the issue. It is no longer Ethiopia versus Somalia. It is the future versus the past. The domino effect. Who is next? Israel's move has triggered the domino effect. Intelligence reports suggest that South Sudan is already preparing to follow suit. Like Ethiopia being a landlocked nation that understands the pain of economic strangling, Juba sees Somaliland as a natural ally. Furthermore, the spirit of the Abraham Accords is expanding. With Somaliland signaling its intent to join the Accords, we are seeing the birth of a new security axis: Israel, the UAE, Somaliland, and Ethiopia. This bloc will control the pulse of global trade through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, rendering the old guard of the Arab League irrelevant. The new Red Sea Order. The Red Sea Revolution is here. From the 1960 independence to the shelved 2005 report, the truth has always been there. It was just waiting for a power brave enough to speak it. Israel gave Somaliland a seat. Ethiopia is providing the trade. The era of port monopolies and sea access blockades is coming to an end. Ethiopia saw the future in 2024, and now the world is finally catching up. What's your take? Don't you think it is time for the AU to accept Somaliland as its new member? Or will the domino effect change everything? Tell us in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned to True Frame. See you in the next video.